Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to our Relationships and Sex Education Parent Consultation webinar. My name is Hasina Barach and I'm one of the trustees of the Association of Muslim Schools. We are an organisation that represents Muslim schools in this country, and I am extremely proud to be a member of the AMS, and I will be your host for the next hour or so today. As always, we begin in the name of the Almighty, without whom nothing is possible, and we send our salutations of peace and blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I am delighted to welcome all parents that are listening to the video today. We have a dedicated section on our AMS website, which will provide parents with further advice, guidance, and information on RSE. So after the viewing of this video, please do take a look. As an organisation, we represent member Muslim schools as well as non-member schools, and have done so since 1992. We now serve over 50,000 children in our schools, and this number is growing every day. Why did we as an organisation become involved in RSE? We are part of the consultative body of all faith groups at the Department for Education, and we are provided with developments and updates which affect our member schools. The AMS has and takes opportunity to represent the views and concerns of our member schools to the Department for Education and other relevant stakeholders. When the AMS was presented with changes to the relationships and sex and health education guidance, the AMS chose to be part of the consultative process and strategic review, and in doing so represented the views of our member schools and the community to Sir Ian Bokum, who led this review. We were also invited to be part of a steering group and a separate curriculum group, and we have continued to be an active member of both to ensure proper representation of the views and concerns of our members, with the aim of ensuring that the statutory requirements that support the loss of our schools and the wider community are met. We are now continuing to work with the curriculum group to ensure our materials that we are currently writing are suitable for Muslim schools, will be accredited and recognised as materials that meet those statutory requirements, but yet are suitable not only for our member schools, but wider organisations and to parents listening to us today. Some parents choose to homeschool their children, and we hope that the materials that we will publish will be suitable resources that parents will use. The aims and objectives of our RSE programme has been to provide a well-written resource for both primary and secondary member schools to ensure statutory requirements are met. For all stakeholders, including non-member schools and state schools in the community, a curriculum that is sensitive to the needs of the Muslim community. As I've said already, to support parents in the wider community about what makes the features of an effective RSE curriculum. So these are, for us as an organisation, the three main key aims that we hold for the project that we have undertaken in supporting our schools to deliver an effective RSE programme. We have chosen to achieve these aims in three separate stages. The first stage has been to work with schools across the country, and a large number of schools have already attended a webinar which we held for schools some weeks ago. Our stage 2 and stage 3 process is the publication of the resources that schools can use. We want to begin by providing materials that are suitable for delivering this summer term in stage 2 of the process, whilst the remaining curriculum material will be available in the third stage of our project. We hope our planning documents will serve both primary and secondary schools and provide a significant number of lesson plans and supporting material to meet the statutory requirements. So today I'm going to be talking to you about what's changed in this new guidance, why it's important for our schools, and the steps that schools will be taking to ensure that they meet those requirements. But your child's school has a statutory obligation to invite you as parents to be involved in the consultation process. And we expect all schools to ensure that this is delivered to their parent community. I will be alluding to this in a bit more detail a bit later on in this video, but I do hope that you will find the video to be supportive in helping you to understand the RSE curriculum and its expectations. For our member schools, we have some core aims, and they are that our children will live a life that is guided by the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. Fundamentally, this is why our schools exist. We want our children to be happy and healthy, to be protected and safe, and to receive the best opportunities to learn and grow. A well-planned and high-quality RSE programme will allow us to achieve these very aims. The Prophet ﷺ has told us that each one of you is a shepherd and is responsible for his flock. The leader of people is a guardian and is responsible for his subjects. So we have a duty and responsibility to ensure that our children have every opportunity to learn and grow in all matters that relating to life and the environment that surrounds us. Where do our children and young people learn about relationship education and related issues? And I've shared some of those on the screen there with you. Children will use the media as a key area of finding out information about those issues that relate to relationship education, television, radio. Our young people are accessing more and more information online. They can also expect to find information when they are gaming or listening to music or watching videos and films. Peers are often a source of that information, and parents and siblings will also be for some children. So how does that affect us in the Muslim community? The DFE states that RSE has been designed to help children from all backgrounds build positive and safe relationships and thrive in modern Britain. This means taking into account the faith communities that pupils may be part of when planning teaching. So that would mean making sure that in a Muslim school, planning of teaching takes into account the views of the Muslim community. And as I've already said to you at the beginning of this video, in developing these units, the government has worked with a number of bodies and faith organisations, and we at the Association of Muslim Schools have been one of those. But why has it changed? Today, children and young people depend heavily on technology and the online world, and it's greater than ever before. We're recording this video today in the midst of a national lockdown, and children are learning from their home environments through remote learning. children are spending more and more time online. Now, this provides young people with many positive and exciting opportunities, whilst at the same time presents many challenges and risks to children's safety and well-being. It's crucially important then that children and young people need to know how to keep themselves safe and healthy at all times. What our government tells us that the revised guidance on RSE puts safeguarding pupils at its very heart. What do we mean by relationships education? In primary schools, the focus should be on teaching the fundamental building blocks and characteristics of relationships with a particular reference to friendships, family relationships, and relationships that we hold with other children and with adults. And that's taken from the latest guidance that we have from government. In secondary schools, that changes slightly. The aim of RSE in secondary is to give young people the information they need to help them develop healthy, nurturing relationships of all kinds, not just intimate relationships. So why is it so important for our schools? A high-quality RSE curriculum will help pupils grow, learn, and develop positive, healthy behaviour for life. RSE plays a key part in supporting our schools to protect and safeguard children. A high-quality RSE curriculum will also help your child's school to demonstrate to Ofsted, the body that regulates schools in this country, that they have a clear vision to ensure children can learn about some of the risks related to their safety and well-being. It's also a statutory obligation under the Children's Act and the Education Act. Under the Children's Act 2004, there is a statutory obligation to promote pupil health and well-being. And under the Education Act 2002, it is an obligation to prepare children and young people for the challenges, the opportunities, and the responsibilities of adult life. Schools play an important role in protecting children and young people from inappropriate online content, cyberbullying, and exploitation. A comprehensive and effective RSE programme can and will provide invaluable support in addressing these issues. But it's also important for pupils, parents. An effective relationship education curriculum will develop pupils' confidence to talk and think about feelings and relationships. It will enable pupils to develop the skills, language, and confidence pupils need to protect themselves in a rapidly changing world. And importantly, it will prepare children for the changes that they will experience at the time of puberty. So what's changed? Well, relationship education is compulsory for all pupils now in primary schools and has been since September 2020. In secondary schools, relationships and sex education is compulsory for all pupils and again has been since September 2020. For state schools, so mainstream schools, health education became compulsory. We represent at the Association of Muslim Schools the vast majority of Muslim independent schools that exist. And independent schools have already got in place a PSHE programme that requires them to deliver health education. So under the new guidance, what needs to be covered in the primary relationships education programme? Well, there are 5 key units: families and people who care for me, caring friendships, respectful relationships, online relationships, and being safe. Whilst in secondary, again, there are 5 units that schools must cover as part of their curriculum offer: families, respectful relationships, including friendships, online and media, being safe, and intimate and sexual relationships, including sexual health. The changes are greater for secondary schools, so I'm going to spend a little bit of time just sharing with you what those changes mean. There will be opportunities for pupils in the secondary school to learn about laws in this country, in Britain, surrounding sex, sexuality, sexual health, and gender identity. The government expects schools to deliver those opportunities in an age and developmentally appropriate and inclusive way. The government also expects secondary schools to cover laws around a number of other issues, and these include marriage, consent, pornography, radicalisation, and gangs. Schools are expected to provide opportunities to learn about grooming, about sexual exploitation, and domestic abuse. The physical and emotional damage that can be caused by FGM or female genital mutilation is also a requirement. And that means that pupils need to know what a healthy relationship looks like, what makes a good friend, a good colleague, a successful marriage, or another type of relationship in which there is commitment. It should also cover contraception, developing intimate relationships, resisting pressure to undertake sexual activity, and what is acceptable and unacceptable behaviour within a relationship. And the reason is that this will help pupils to understand the positive effects that good relationships have on an individual's mental well-being. Pupils should be able to recognise and identify when relationships are not right, and importantly understand when difficulties arise, how these situations can be managed. What it does not do is encourage early sexual experimentation. So when planned well, an RSE curriculum should teach people to understand human sexuality, to respect themselves, and to respect others. It should enable young people to mature, to build their confidence and self-esteem, and to be able to understand the reason for delaying sexual activity. An effective curriculum will support people throughout life to develop safe, fulfilling, and healthy sexual relationship at a time that is appropriate for them. Now, as part of the curriculum, a comprehensive curriculum is expected and should enable pupils to make good decisions about their own health and well-being. It should equip pupils with what they need to know and skills to address issues such as isolation, loneliness, unhappiness, and bullying, and other factors that may contribute to poor health and well-being. In primary schools, the focus is on teaching pupils what makes good physical health and mental well-being choices. Units in primary include mental well-being, internet safety and harms, physical health and fitness, healthy eating, drugs, alcohol and tobacco, health and prevention, basic first aid, and changing adolescent body. So pupils will be taught to make informed, positive choices for themselves so that they can support their own health and well-being. In schools, there will be opportunities for pupils to learn about problems and challenges, including more serious mental and physical health conditions, such as substance and alcohol abuse, with a focus on providing information and effective intervention. Teachers are expected to demonstrate an awareness of what's called adverse childhood experiences, such as bereavement, breakdowns in family, exposure to domestic violence and abuse, and how these have an impact on children's well-being. Pupils will be taught how to judge when they or someone they know needs support and where they can seek help if it's required. In secondary, mental well-being, internet safety and harms, physical health and fitness, healthy eating, drugs, alcohol and tobacco, health and prevention, basic first aid, and changing adolescent body. Now, sex education in primary schools has caused some level of confusion around the country, but the guidance makes it very clear that there is no statutory requirement to teach sex education in primary schools. Where schools do decide to teach it, parents have the right to withdraw in any school where it is taught and where the content is not part of the science curriculum. But for secondary schools, the guidance is different. There is a statutory requirement to teach sex education in secondary schools, unlike primary, but parents have the right to withdraw their children from those lessons where it is taught up until 3 terms before the child turns 16. After that age, should a pupil choose to receive sex education, then school must make appropriate provision to do so. The government guidance states that teaching about relationships is designed to foster respect for others and for difference, and to educate people about what makes a healthy relationship. Teaching children about the society in which they live and the different types of relationships that exist is important. So children are able to recognise that there are different types of families in the society in which they live. The RSE guidance states that primary schools are strongly encouraged to teach about different types of families, including those from a lesbian, gay background. I mentioned resources that the Association of Muslim Schools are currently preparing to share with schools, Muslim and non-Muslim schools. The association has developed key documents, and these documents will support your child's school as well as other schools to prepare for the changes of this new guidance. The plans that are being prepared will make reference to the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah in every lesson that is delivered. An example of what is taught across the year groups and across the year is shared here. This is an example of a primary overview of what is taught in terms of the units of families, being safe, online relationships, and you can see that there. Similarly, we have prepared a long-term overview of teaching the units required in secondary schools. But you as parents can help your children at home by talking to them and encouraging them to ask questions. By asking children what it is that they are learning in school and encouraging discussion. Asking for advice when you are unsure, or using resources and other books to help support children's learning. And importantly, recognizing that growing up and puberty is a normal part of life. Your child's school may already be working with the Association of Muslim Schools, who are actively providing training and support, and have a program to support teachers to deliver the RSE curriculum within the ethos of the Islamic faith. As I mentioned earlier, schools have already attended a webinar and have accessed especially written materials to support schools to meet both the statutory guidance required, as well as ensure that at every level we have regard for the development of our children's tarbiyah when delivering the curriculum. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, as part of the statutory guidance, schools are required to consult with parents on their RSE policy. Schools are expected to have one of those and allow you to ask questions and share any concerns you may have. Schools must listen to those concerns and do their best to answer the questions that you have, and then make a reasonable decision on next steps when finalising their RSE policy. But the RSE guidance is clear. What is taught and how is a decision for schools, and consultation with you as parents does not allow you to veto content that schools may decide to teach, but it does strongly urge you to be part of that process of planning and development. This policy must be in line with the RSE guidance of 2020 and must include, amongst other information, what is relationships and sex education in your child's school, what it is that they are going to teach, and how it is that they're going to teach it. They must make links to other policies where these links exist. They may share with you those responsible for RSE within your child's school. And of course, provide you with guidance on how you have a parental right to withdraw where sex education is delivered. The DFE have produced some guidance for parents. This information is available on the association's website under the RSE area, and you will be able to download the document that's on your video screen now. And there is a guidance available for both primary and secondary schools. So all I can say at this point now is I'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we do hope that you found the video to be useful in helping you to understand the new statutory guidance, what you can expect in your child's school. Should you have any questions, do contact us at the Association of Muslim Schools. There is also a FAQ section on the AMS website, which will provide you with further information should you have any further questions about the requirements of this new guidance. So, Jazakallah for joining us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.